Hey, what's good, people? This is Sports Debate Tuesday. I'm Jason. That dude's Mr.
Mark.
Fornicari. That dude's Mr. McLean. The episode starts right now. What's good, Robbie?
What's happening, brother?
What's good, Mark?
Nothing much, man. What's good with you?
I'm good, man. Yo, this is Sports Debate Tuesday along with my man Rob. Keep it McLean. I'm Jason DeBeers, and this is our guest for this episode because we got a lot to talk about, a lot of favorite subject matter. This is volleyball extraordinaire, multiple-time regional winner, and most recently this year, Pottstown Rumble finalist, Mark Fornicari. Thanks for coming on the show, Mark. We got a lot to talk about. We got some football. We had the last mixed martial arts event of the year. Derek Lewis ending in spectacular fashion, right? I mean, brings new meaning to the term knockout. But first things first, all right? So, guys, with the NFL season, when the NFL started this season, it seemed like we had a projection on how the playoff picture would look. Kansas City starting, all of a sudden, Kansas City starts poorly out of the block. Right, the Titans beat the Bills, and then they lose to the Jets. The Bills beat KC, and then lose to the Jags, a team that didn't even win on this continent, for Christ's sakes. All right, Tampa beating the best teams in the NFC, but losing to the Saints twice, most recently getting shut out. Tom Brady, first time he got shut out since 2016. And all of this turned out to be a recipe for a hot mess. But as the blame game starts to happen, and heads start to roll, here's the question. Usually goes to the coach, right? If you win, it's the players. If you lose, it's the coach. So Rob's gonna go first. Mark, you're gonna answer this second. But the question is this: which coach's job is in the most trouble?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned the Saints beating.
Sorry.
You mentioned the Saints beating Tampa twice. But I think it's Sean Payton, and it's not necessarily because of this year. I know this is the first year without Drew Brees, but that team has everything they need on defense to be successful. All they needed was one quarterback and Michael Thomas to be successful on offense, and somehow that team still remains to be an okay team. I mean, they have the best defense. I think they have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they still can't get it done. Jameis Winston was supposed to be their guy. Even when he was playing well, or even when he was not injured, he still was not playing well. And, so I'm going to have to go with the Saints with Sean Payton just because they need a change of scenery, even though they still have all the pieces they need, but they need to infuse something new with that team. So I'm going to have to go with the Saints on this one.
We got both ears now, Rob.
Yes, sir.
You going with the Saints on this one?
Yeah, Saints on this one, man.
You think Peyton's job's in trouble?
I do. It's been too many years of just okay, and at a certain period, it's like Martin Schottenheimer, at a certain period, it's like, okay, it's not enough. They need to win. They need to not just make the playoffs or just beat some great teams. So, I'm going to have to go with Sean Payton on this one.
Mark?
That's a good call, too. The obvious choice, I would say, would be Nagy, but I'm not going to pick Nagy. I'm going to say, as a Panthers fan, I'm going to say Matt Rule.
Wow.
And the reason why is I think he just wasn't proven at this level, kind of like Urban Meyer. And you've given him 2 years now. The first year he drafts all defense. So you're thinking, we got this great defense now. And through the first about, 6-7 games, we looked great. We had a great defense. And now just where did it go? And then the whole fiasco with the Darnold firing Joe Brady, and then taking Cam on, and then Cam has one little good spark where he's coming in as a backup. Now all of a sudden you want to start Cam, and it's just gone downhill, and he just can't seem to figure it out, and it's just a mess. And then you got Tepper, one of the biggest owners with the most amount of money. I just feel like he's on the hot seat where Tepper can get rid of him at any time and just start this whole process over again. So I think he might go, even though they, give every rookie coach 3 years pretty much.
Yeah, look, for me, I like what you said because sometimes when you get rid of the head coach, it's probably because you're cleaning house, right? Break out the squeegee,
Right.
broom, mop, dustpan, right? Get the pledge on the tables, get the whatever, get the Murphy oil soap, just clean house totally. So I love your choice on Matt Rule. Sean Payton, I don't know how long this guy's gonna be a made man before people decide or whatever. But for all the reasons that you didn't go with Matt Nagy is the same reason why I'm going with Matt Nagy. Okay, he's a pretty good coach. He had a pretty he understands the game right away, and he's been a coach the whole time he's been a player. And those that can't do teach, right? He couldn't make it in the NFL, didn't get drafted, and here we are. His first season, he's 12-4. And then we got 8-8, 8-8, and then what we got going here. But in this win now league, it's not as bad as the NBA. All right, the NBA, you got guys who are voted coach of the year that lose their job. Who's that guy?
David
that
Blatt.
That guy, he got coach of the year, right?
Yeah.
And then lost his job. So, oops, sorry. Let's do that. So for me, it's Nagy because when he had a choice to go with the veteran, the sure shot, Andy Dalton, and he chose to go Justin Fields, you're basically telling your fans and you're telling the football faithful, I'm willing to bet my job that I'm right on this one. He bet his job on this one. He lost. He's in big, big, big trouble. So, I mean, since we already tackled this subject matter faster than McGregor versus Aldo, let me ask another question. Besides Bill Belichick, who do you think is kind of a made man in the NFL right now?
In what sense do you mean by that?
Meaning they can survive some mistakes, a debacle season.
I'll bring it to my G-man, man.
Yep.
I think a lot of it has to do with the owner and coach relationship. Because again, you think owner GM, you don't think owner coach, but there's a lot of owners that are very involved with their coaches. Let's say Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy is never going to be on a hot seat until he has a losing season.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Joe Judge, because the ownership was really involved with their choice on him, and yeah, I've heard even through a lot of sources that he won't lose his job this year, next year, or the year after because he is so close, and they think that they've gotten a replica of Bill Belichick, and it takes time to build a system. That's why I'd say it's almost. I think they should have time. I think it shouldn't be like the NBA where they're losing, they're out. Because you got to look at the roster. You got to look at if they drafted certain players, yeah, but. Did they do well drafting those players? It's not always on the coach. That's on the GM. So they are sometimes exclusive, but they're not always mutually exclusive. Where the GM and the coach lose their job. So I think a lot of it just has to do with how much the owner is involved in that coaching hire and those coaching choices. But yeah, I think Joe Judge is definitely up that list of. He could do everything wrong and probably not get fired.
Yeah. For me, Mark, you're gonna go next on this one. For me, I go Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's worst season was 8-8. I remember a season he had Big Ben Roethlisberger. It didn't have Big Ben, didn't have Le'Veon Bell, didn't have Antonio Brown, and still finish 8-8. And I think if he has one losing season, he's gonna be allowed to pass. And if you consider the culture of how they hire people and how long they keep those coaches. During the NFL Super Bowl era, they've only had 3 coaches. They had, I think it was Noel and Bill Cowher and him. Mm-hmm. So he's the one that seems the most safe. Mark?
I go Andy Reid. I mean,
yeah.
He can literally do anything. I mean, his kids have done everything under the book, and the guy has got,
He's like, what else do I need to say? Yep. All right. I like that one.
He could have a 1-15 season next year with Mahomes. He'd still be back.
Yeah. Wow. It's true. What a crazy season, right? I mean, a few weeks ago, Kansas City was last. You're wondering if they're even going to make the playoffs, but because everyone keeps beating the hell out of each other in the AFC, here they stand on this Monday, pre-recorded the Tuesday, first place. Nice. So we got to jump right out of this because I asked a very, very long MMA question that might require some elaboration or just 1 or 2 sentences. Okay. We move on to MMA. More specifically, we move on to the UFC. All right. What a year the UFC has had, guys. Look, there are three sure things in life. There's death, taxes, and the UFC. President Dana White, if I were a betting man, picked up the biggest promotion piece of advice any promoter in combat sports should pick up. The show will go on. So the show has gone on from signing big talent to getting popular venues, Abu Dhabi, and defeating even the pandemic itself, right? They were pretty much the only major sport, well, close to a major sport, that kept on churning when everybody else had to shut down, and when, eventually the NBA had their little bubble, which, by the way, is like 354 players, 0 positive tests, so big up to the NBA for that. Not so well now, but that's a whole other story. So now, with the last card in the year of the books, and literally ending with a bang. You remember Derek Lewis? Let's have some fun. So, Rob, Mark, these questions are going to be, there's 4 questions. What is your fighter of the year? What is your fight of the year? What is your KO of the year? And what is your submission of the year? I'm going to go first because we're all going to do one category together. So, my fight of the year. Sorry, which one was first?
Fighter.
All right. So, fighter of the year for me is Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman had, if you remember a year ago, had a match with Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal took it last minute. He wanted a fresh Jorge Masvidal to make a statement, and he made a statement. He faced the guy, Gilbert Burns, who absolutely smothered Tyron Woodley at the time. Tyron Woodley we thought was still something, right? And then he finished him. And then Kobe Covington, almost another match of the year candidate. I mean, I don't even know what was better. It was like Kobe Covington's heart or like Kamaru's, ability to finish after Kobe came back. That was like a Stone Cold Steve Austin match against Bret Hart. Like, everyone loves Bret Hart, but then Stone Cold, didn't tap out, and then he's unconscious, and all of a sudden he's got fans and everyone's booing Bret Hart. So I mean, Kobe Covington did something really, really weird in the losing effort, and that's my match of the year. Yeah, boys. That's Mark. Sorry, it's Mark.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
He's right there. Sorry.
Do you want match of the year?
Fighter of the year first.
I got to go with Usman too.
Yep.
I mean, there's no real way around it.
Yep, I like that. Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, I think Usman had a great year. I think Thug Rose also had a fantastic year. If we're gonna switch genders at least, but Oliveira also had a great year. I think any one of those 3 could be at the top. But I would just say it kind of hurt his stock almost, Usman, that he didn't finish Colby, when I really do think he could have finished him. He just didn't want to keep hitting a broken man's nose, and a broken man's jaw. It's just so I feel like that almost hurt him a little bit, where Oliveira stopped everybody he's been in front of. Rose upset 2 people that have been fantastic fighters, and she stopped them. So I think it's up for debate, but one of those 3 are great for me.
I like that. So we got Usman, and who you got, Rob?
I'll go Rose.
Yeah, Thug Rose.
Yeah.
Thug Rose. Thug Rose. All right, so now we go fight of the year, and this one, you're gonna go first, Mark. What's your fight of the year? A lot of us might be a prisoner of the moment, but let's do it.
You kind of got to go with what's last in your brain. And I think, the crappy thing was only 3 rounds, but I think Chandler versus Gaethje was just,
yep.
through the thing, and let's just sit in the pocket, just trade. I mean, and if we could have got 2 more rounds of that, it probably would have been one of the greatest fights ever. But
wow, you're right, dude. Robbie?
For me, I actually liked Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, number 1.
Yeah,
that was my favorite fight. That was.
Well, you're gonna have to pick number 2 because that was December last year. The first one was December.
I thought it was this year.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's mine. Is I like Figueiredo Moreno. That was definitely mine. I'm pretty sure it was this year, but
I like that for fight of the year because I think that really kind of saved the flyweight division, right? You get rid of Demetrius, you send TJ down there, give him marching orders to get rid of the division. Cejudo says screw off. In fact, he leaves. And then this division, which it looked like they were trying to get rid of, this dude saved that division. That was both of those were.
Yeah.
Davison Figueiredo is a tough out on Mark. So for me, my fight of the year, I'm gonna go Thug Rose against Zhang. The rematch, not the one where she kicked her in the head and finished her the first round. The rematch was awesome because it goes to the 5th round, and there were definitely 2 rounds when they were beating the hell out of each other. Where you're like, I love this match, and it's like, Rob, so who won that round? I'm like, I don't know. So my fight of the year, who runs the world? Girls. So I go with the ladies on that one, Zhang and Thug Rose. Rose Namajunas. So what is your KO of the year? Rob McLean, you go first on this one, and then you go, Mark, you're after him.
Mine was Buckley and Kasagny, the spinning back kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. What else do you need to say?
That was the best.
Wow.
Probably the best KO I've seen in a very, very long time. Very unexpected. It wasn't even I think it was prelims or right at the top, right at the beginning of a main card. But yeah, it was unbelievable fight and crazy finish.
Yeah, it made ESPN's thing.
Right. Top 10, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Mark?
I just go, since it's the biggest and the most notable, I go Poirier knocking out McGregor. And that's just because everyone was watching and everyone knew the next day what happened. And might not have been the flashiest, but McGregor hadn't been stopped in the UFC yet.
Yeah.
Only submitted. So to see him get knocked out, you thought, man, this guy could get choked out. His gas tank could go, but could he ever get knocked out? His chin was so good. And just put him on his rear end.
Wow. Yeah, he got knocked out cold too, right? He got slept for a minute and then had to get back up. So that's a good one, dude. All right, I'd like to be a prisoner of the moment, guys, and say my knockout of the year was Derek Lewis against Delkis last week, over the weekend. But I do have Derek Lewis on the brain, so I got to go back early this year. Derek Lewis knocked out Curtis Blades. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen because he knocked him down. And then when he knocked him down, he all of his weight hit him one more time before the ref got there. It was brutal. And you have Curtis Blades had one arm up like this, like frozen or whatever. It was one of the gnarliest things you ever see as far as even for combat sports. So, we can go boxing. We can go this weekend too with Woodley, but that was terrible. So last but not least, what is your submission of the year? I'm going to go first on this one. My submission of the year is Vincent Luque. Now, Vincent Luque had a nasty submission over Tyron Woodley earlier in the year. And then he fought Michael Chiesa, who's a very, very, very good grappler who walks around 190, who basically bullies everybody on the cage, against the cage, and eventually wins his matches by submission. This time he got submitted. I go Vincent Luque over Michael Chiesa. Let's go McLean.
I got Jamil Hill and Paul Craig. Just because, Hill was a hype train, and Craig just, he planned to submit
Jamal
him,
Hill? Yeah.
And he submitted him,
I like that.
I got to take that, but you got to give credit to, Nunez and Pena, because it's the submission that wasn't a submission.
She submitted right away, dude.
Yeah, she didn't even get anything
She submitted
in.
Right away, guys,
She didn't even get anything in.
Yeah.
So you got to give credit to that. That's the greatest finish, or the greatest finish in women's history at this point. So, got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say Pena and Nunez, but I'll give you another one. I'm gonna go Chimaev.
Yes. Wow.
To come back from COVID, he's finally facing a ranked top 15 fighter, and he just submits Lee and just throws him around like ragdoll and just basically toys with him and then submits him. This guy might be on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It was.
Yep. Is there a thought you wanted to finish on that, or was that a wrap?
Personally, I think the hype is real. I think this guy could sleep Usman.
Yeah.
He's the hype is for sure real.
I like that. Yep. All right, cool. Well, for now, that wraps up MMA. That wraps up the UFC, and now we go to our NFL Pick 6. Mark Fonicari took our challenge this week. He was 3-2. Iowa is 3-2, and Bobby McGee was 4-1. All three of us were colossally wrong about the Bucks got shut out.
Yeah,
by Tom Brady got shut out first time since 2006.
You lose your top two receivers, you can't account for that.
Yeah, and of course, pick six. We didn't have a six because I believe Seattle and the Rams got moved till tomorrow night. So we're gonna know more about that. So Mark, thanks for participating in our pick six challenge. But ladies and gentlemen, we got a repeat offender. Mark's going to do it again. So here is our NFL pick six. Let's start with the Niners. San Francisco 49ers versus the Tennessee Titans. Mark. Niners?
Yep.
I'm going to go Titans. I like the way they're playing.
If this game were in San Francisco, I'd go Niners, but I got to go Titans. They play really good in colder weather, and particularly at home, and Garoppolo's going to be uncomfortable. Pick six, number 2. Let's go Cleveland Browns at the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to go first on this one. This game is at Lambeau. Baker Mayfield might not clear COVID protocol for this Tuesday's game or for tonight's game, but I think he'll be ready. But I don't think it's going to be enough. This man is playing at MVP level. He just is. And I can't bet against Rodgers right now, especially at Lambeau Field. I can't do it. Sorry, go ahead. You go. Packers? Cool.
Yeah, got to be Packers. I mean, they were down, 14 points this week, and then they came back and it almost looked like they were cruising to the game. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be top seed in the NFC this year.
Yeah. So, yep. So all three of us Packers, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So next one, we go the Colts, Indianapolis Colts at the Cards. The Colts victors over the New England Patriots. Pretty good win for them. Wentz is playing pretty good ball, and this Jonathan Taylor dude is like a runaway train. So, who you got?
I got the Colts. Too good on the ground. Cards look suspect on defense last weekend, so I go Colts.
Yeah, same deal. Colts are finally picking up some steam. They're finally playing better, and Wentz is playing great football. You got to give him credit.
Yeah. It's hard to pick the Cardinals after watching what happened this weekend. I mean, Detroit seems to just Cards are the host, but D-Hop out for a while, it certainly hampers these close games. And a game that I thought originally the Colts would win close, but I don't think this one's going to be close. Let's go game number 4. We got my Buffalo Bills. Am I still wearing a hat? Is that what's wrong with this podcast? I was like, something didn't feel right. I got caught wearing a Bills hat. So I'll go first on this one. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey, hey. Buffalo ain't winning this game. When the beginning of the season, I said I was going to pick Buffalo every single week because I thought they're going to win 13 games, and I was happy being right 13 out of 17 times. But the Patriots are the exception to win the rule, and now the Buffaloes officially, again, become their beat-up toy. And I think the Patriots repeat what happened a couple of weeks ago, albeit barely or by a lot. Going to run the ball down their throats. I picked New England.
I'm taking the Bills.
Yes. Oh, someone gotta be on, have my back when I don't have my own back. God damn it, bro.
You gotta look at the way they've played the last 2 weeks. I mean,
all close games, yeah.
They played Tampa last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they played them tough, and then they beat the crap out of the Panthers yesterday.
They did.
And I don't know. I kind of think they're starting to get momentum.
Yeah, right. And the other thing I remember too is there were some non-pass interference calls that happened with the Buffalo Bills 3 times, and then, right, swallow your whistle on one, throw the flag for Brady, and he wins in overtime. So that's a very good pick. I might change my mind, but I can't for their show. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Pats, not because I'm a habitual Pats picker, but for me, I don't like the way the Bills play. No matter if it's a close game, let's talk about how the score is. They're down 15 to 20 points before halftime, right? You cannot do that against a team that is a legitimate playoff team.
Yeah.
So no matter how many times they're going to come back, no matter how many times they're going to make it close, you got to have it at least even at halftime. And I just don't see that from them week in and week out. I was waiting for them just give me one game that they're going to be crushing it, not against the Panthers, but against like a legitimate playoff team where they had 4 out of the last 6 weeks. They played a legitimate playoff team, and they kind of just shit the bed. So
they really did.
I'm going to have to go with the Pats and keep it safe.
Yeah, I like that. So now we go to our game 5, guys. We go to We go to the Ravens visiting the Cincinnati Bengals. Rob McLean, you go first on this one.
Man, and this one's hard to pick, but I'm still going to have to go with the Bengals on this one. I'm going to take my chances because I just don't believe in what the Ravens are doing. Like, you can't lean on Lamar that much, and Lamar's not even going to be there. You can't lean on Tyler Huntley like that. Like, teams are going to game plan now for Tyler Huntley, not maybe Lamar, maybe Tyler Huntley. They're going to game plan for him. They're going to shut him down, and that defense doesn't really pick up the slack for them, let's just say, at this moment. So I'm gonna have to go with the Bengals because I think they're just gonna blow out some points and make them feel it. So that's my pick for this week.
I think for all those reasons, I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens have decided that they're going to take chances on sink or swim. I think their coach trusts in them, and they betrayed the coach on two different occasions for the same reason. And I know every Monday morning quarterback, Mark, is going to say, oh, I would have kicked the field goal, or I would have kicked the field goal to tie or whatever. But you can ask anybody. When I was on Twitter, I was like, this one you got to kick. This one you got to kick. And I'm always for a go for it on fourth or whatever. But in this case, I didn't like that call. But because he made the wrong call and because everybody had his back and because he didn't get a lot of blowback for it, I think there's this freeing thing in tight game situations that allows them to flow, and I think they're going to beat Cincinnati for that reason. Mark?
I like the Ravens. Just same mold, and even if they don't have Lamar, they proved yesterday that they could hang with the Packers, get out to a lead. I just don't trust Cincinnati. I mean, they're the most up and down team, I swear. You never know what you're going to get.
Rob's like, up and down with the Ravens, though.
Rob goes,
Yeah.
I'll take a pocket quarterback over whatever they bring in that team.
Go ahead, Mark. Mark, go ahead and finish.
Yeah, but the Bengals drive me crazy. Maybe it's just because I got Jamar Chase in my fantasy team. They threw the ball like one time yesterday. True. So, I don't know. The Bengals, they're just all over the place. I mean, so are the Ravens. But I do like that they put up, 30-plus points on the Packers, who probably most people in fantasy started as a defense for the Ravens against him. So I'm just going to lean with the Ravens. I mean, it's probably the hardest game to pick.
Yeah, 100%.
This or the next one.
Yeah, so guys, last one. This one, Mark, you're going to lead the dance on. We have that Washington football team against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Fornicari.
I got to go the Cowboys. I mean, Washington has been playing really well, but I don't know if they can put up enough points to hang with the Cowboys. So I'm going Cowboys.
That's okay. You can have different stripes and varieties, my man. I think I'm going to go with the Washington football team. I got to have a little upset special. If Ron Rivera decides he wants this to be a shootout, he deserves everything he has, and he's going to lose. But I don't think that's the route he's going. I think he's going to try to pound the ball. I think he's going to use the clock as much as he can. Try to keep Dak. Try to keep these speedy wide receivers on the bench. And if there's anyone that's good strategically against the Cowboys, it's always been Ron Rivera, even when he coached for the Panthers. So I'm going to go with the Washington football team. Bobby?
Yeah, Washington's got nothing to lose. I mean, the world, everything's up for them.
Wait a minute. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah. Because this is exactly what we talked about the other 2 weeks ago. The reason why they're going to beat who they're going to beat the next 2 weeks is because you have to set up the drama. You have to set up. I mean, for the last 3 weeks, they've been calling each other out saying the skill players got to do better. Oh, Dak's got to do better. Oh, the coach isn't ready. The coach is guaranteeing a win. This is literally the same exact Cowboys where it's just like, if you guys are good enough, then win. You ain't got to tell everybody else. You ain't got to bring it outside the locker room. Win or go home. And I think they're going to lose. I don't think it's going to hurt their playoff chances, but I think that all this pressure they put on themselves, it just shoots you in the foot, and it creates bulletin board material for the other team. So it's going to be Washington this week.
Stephen A. Smith always says, some way, somehow, when you count on them, they will let you down. And I don't think that winning the NFC title is that moment where they're going to let them down. I think the home playoff game is where they're going to have this position to win, and the fans are just going to be... Look, I sound like the biggest Cowboy hater, Mark, but I don't hate the Cowboys. I don't hate them as much as I hate their annoying fan base. Look, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. We have some passionate fans too. But you never, ever hear Buffalo Bills win like 4 games and our fans say we're going to the Super Bowl. Or like every game, defines our season. This is a season-defining moment. I'm like, Jesus Christ, shut up, dude. You know, who's your team?
Well, I grew up a Bears fan, and I'm a Panthers fan. So I would say the Panthers, but we're both in a bad spot.
Both in a bad. We are. So
Not worse than me.
So right now, again, we're both 3-2, Mark. Rob's 4-1 tonight. I don't have who you picked. I think you picked the Rams, Seahawks, right? Over the Seahawks?
Oh, yeah, the Rams.
You did too, right?
Yeah.
Was I stupid? I got to go back on the tape to see if I was the lone wolf. Because when it comes to Russell Wilson, call me a lone wolf.
Isn't he not even playing?
He's like, wait, is he playing? All right, so that wraps up Pick 6. Mark, thanks for doing this again. You're the first repeated offender in the history of our show, and hopefully to have more capable personalities like yourself. But for now, I bring you my favorite topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Okay, let's shuffle to our time clock. Let's do this. How does it work? Like this. Boom. All right, guys, we're all here. To shame or not to shame? Kind of unique question. So, Rob, keep it McLean. Mark Fornicari. To shame or not to shame? Tyron Woodley gets KO'd by Jake Paul. Are these unconventional exhibitions bad for the sport of boxing or bad for MMA? So, Rob, is it shame on MMA or is it shame on boxing or shame on neither? Rob's going to go first on this one. And Rob, go.
Yeah, so I don't think it has any shade on MMA at all. This is an MMA fight. Tyron Woodley's not even an MMA fighter anymore. He was an MMA fighter. I think the big shame is on boxing, not just for allowing this to happen, but for allowing an exhibition fight to allow more people and more fans to be interested in boxing than your actual boxing matches. They do a horrible job of showing advertisements, of getting people involved, getting people to want to watch boxing, and then you allow these influencers to hop on a sanctioned boxing ring and then basically outcard your high. Like Lomachenko fought 2 weeks ago. You remember that? No.
Yeah. No.
Like,
wow.
It's crazy. Right. But then we're talking about Woodley and whoever this guy is, who's not a boxer, who like Woodley is 0-2 in boxing career. Like the people he's fought have less than 5 fights total. So It's kind of a travesty, and this is just where boxing's going. It's just there's no fans. You need money. This is what's going to happen.
Yep. Mark?
I think it's shame on neither. I say it brings eyes to the sport, but also I was kind of hearing what Rob's saying, and I kind of agree with him in some regards. I think it helps bring eyes on boxing. It's not the greatest look, but then I also remember back to when Mayweather was the loudest and biggest and boldest. All the eyes were on him to get knocked out. So it's kind of the same with Jake Paul. Everyone who wants to see the loudmouth get knocked out. So I think once Jake Paul actually gets starched by somebody, they actually put somebody in front of him that could do that, I think all the buzz will go off of the influencers. But I think it brings eyes to the sport.
Right. I like that. So for me, and I like, first of all, Rob, I like your take. And Mark, I like your take. And for me, I'm gonna let the horn honk for a minute because I like to listen to the horn honk. There you go. Time's up. So for me, guys, my stance on this was timeline based. When Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather, right? Guy at the end of his career, MMA guy trying his hand and whatever. I was like, it's good for both sports. It's good for whatever, good to bring attention to boxing. But the more MMA starts sending fighters to boxing, and the more they just keep getting starched. I think it's bad for MMA because right now there's no reciprocative give and take from the boxing people. Right, to my knowledge, only 3 boxers have crossed over and fought in an MMA cage, and I only really remember one. Randy Couture fought James Toney, where Randy ankle picked him and got him on the ground and submitted him. And I think the more MMA fighters start sending people to boxing and boxing not sending people back, the more people start talking about the not the diehards and not the purists, but the more it sheds a bad light on like how MMA, who originally looked like they were just playing with house money, right? They got nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's not their sport, because that's how I felt in the beginning, the same way you did. But right now, the only fighter that beat a boxer was Vitor Belfort. You know, Vitor Belfort beat Holyfield. So, yeah, I gotta go shame. Before it was shame on neither. Now it's leaning more towards shame on MMA. They can't keep sending their fighters and sending the message that, you know, boxing is superior when boxing is not sending anybody to them and doing 8-point striking. You know, no modified rules. Rob, sorry?
I'm not thinking that. I don't think that they're thinking that boxing is superior. I just think that my real issue is that there are so many boxers that we don't talk about.
Yes.
So many boxers that we don't talk about that
yes.
would literally walk through Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. Like, let's stop acting like Tyron Woodley is a legit competitor because he did a different sport for his entire life and he was bad at it. Like, I'm sorry, he was a bad MMA fighter for a very long time. All we talked... Just say it if you want to.
What?
No, he was a champion, sure.
Yeah.
But he was a champion because he did what? He had an overhand right that he never used until he became a counterpuncher. Let's just look at the fights. It wasn't like he had crazy output. It's not like he brought people down. Same thing with Ben Askren. We're saying he's an MMA fighter. He was literally a wrestler.
He's one-dimensional.
Exactly.
Even more so than Woodley, though. At least Woodley. Ben Askren wasn't knocked. I don't think he has a victory via KO on his whole thing. I mean, at least, you know, Woodley used it. I think you're right. I think he was a wrestler that fell in love with his right hand. And you see a lot of, Mark, in the MMA, you see a lot of fighters like that, right? Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
But I'm just saying, like, if you're going to take MMA fighters and put them against an exhibitionist fighter in boxing, that's even playing field because neither of them have done boxing, so they're basically trying their hand at the same thing. You put a boxer in front of somebody who's trying to be a boxer, we're going to see if they're a boxer. You can't put retired MMA fighters in front of a boxer and expect them to know more or to be. The only thing that they have better is just a mindset, the understanding what's it's going to take. That's it. And you can train that into somebody in 5 months. I'm sorry, you can. And one-dimensional fighting in boxing. It's just what it is. There's the little intricacies that you can beat people with, but MMA, the reason why it is what it is because you have to go through every facet to get better. Yeah. And if you're only good with your hands, you will fail. That's it. So you're asking somebody who's not only good with their hands to be only good with their hands and restricted from using everything else they've trained for. You're basically beating a dead horse at that point. Yeah. So that's just where I'm like, you're destroying the idea of MMA, but you're giving everything to boxing, and boxing is getting nothing back from it because at the end of the day, these are short-term eyes. They may be eyes, but they're short-term eyes. They're not going to be there for the long term. They're just here for the voice. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to help either of them, and I think MMA is going to come away with it because they're growing and boxing is shrinking. Agreed. And this is just a way to get eyes back. Somewhere.
Yeah, Mark, you wanted to add something to that? Something?
I mean, it is eyes, though. Boxing's always been tough. And I think the biggest problem with boxing and viewership is that for the diehards like us, we want to see those mega fights. We want to see the Crawford fight. We want to see Earl Spence. You know, we want to see those fights, but we can't get them because there's too many promoters with their hand in the pot, and they can't put their egos aside and get together and make these matchups where the UFC can. So I think it's always hurt boxing.
Dana White, huh?
And at least in these one-off scenarios, Jake Paul can call out a name and actually put up enough money to get the other person in the ring with him. So it's like boxing needs to get more eyes back on the mainstream fights. You got to have these big fights happen.
Right.
Can't get just heavyweight division where Fury, and now look what we're having with Fury.
Right.
Can't get Usyk because Joshua wants 50 mil. So we want to get these mega fights, but it's just how do we get them with different promoters and different TV deals and all that.
Yeah, and I think what Rob was alluding to is if the oversaturation of that makes it where real boxers who have been putting in the real work and and if people just show some concentration can really be entertainers, through performance and this and that. And Rob, you're right. At some point, this guy's gonna fight like actor Jeremy Piven, and it's gonna make more money than a real boxer. And that's the danger.
It already is. That's the
and
problem
that's the danger.
with MMA.
Yeah.
Is McGregor made twice as much money as probably all the UFC fighters combined in one fight, right? I don't care how much money you make in boxing. That doesn't mean that boxing is going to come back. You know what I mean? It's just that's where I'm like, it's either you're about the business of the sport or you're about the fights of the sport. And the problem is, the promoters for sure, but at the end of the day, the boxers still got to say yes. And what's the difference between 20 million and 50 million? Like that's a travesty. So, and you got MMA fighters who are fighting a more dangerous sport. It honestly is, and you're getting an 18th of that price.
Agreed. Mark,
I think the one thing that really needs to happen in boxing to bring back the eyes is you got to get rid of all the belts. Just make one belt. The 4 belt, 5 belt.
Wow.
But it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger. I mean, you got international, like MMA is pretty USA heavy, you know, and you got IMF, you got the, you have international, you have USA, you have, Russian belt. I mean, you have a lot of belts, but at least that creates, like what you were saying, the want to have those bigger fights. Because at the end of the day, if you only have one belt, then you're going to have what the UFC has, which is the interim belt. And this guy is the number 3 competitor, and you make no money off that. You make money off of titles.
Wait a second. Let me interrupt. Do you guys also mean maybe eliminating too many weight classes as far as belts are concerned?
No, there's
just belts in organizations.
In organizations.
Right. Okay. All right, cool.
Two would be perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be great. Yeah. And 2 promotions, boom. Maybe get an undisputed here and there, and then we move on with life. And now we move on with the podcast. That's the end of To Shame or Not to Shame, which I thought was actually a pretty good episode. And let's bring our attention to Rob's favorite. Quick question. Okay, guys, quick question. Who is the best team in the NBA at the present? Rob.
I mean, that's no question. It's easily the Warriors without Klay Thompson.
Mark?
I say the Suns.
I say the Nets. Quick question, guys. Is Rodgers the best quarterback in the history of Green Bay's franchise? I'll go first on this one. Absolutely, yes. Rob?
Yeah, already.
Of course.
Yep. Quick question. Are the Knicks in trouble? Mark, go first.
They've always been in trouble.
I'll go second. In terms of making the playoffs, yeah. In terms of being the Knicks, no, it's a normal day. Rob?
Yeah, the Knicks have been in trouble, but they're worse off now than where they were last year. I mean, I was surprised by their playoff run, and now they're nothing. Yeah.
Do you think they overachieved last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. But now you game plan against their number 1, which is which is Randall, and he's not really a number 1. He might not even be a number 2.
Right. Obvious quick question here. Travis Hunter is going to play for Deion Sanders. He's a number 2 high school draft pick. He's going to play for Deion Sanders at Jackson State. Thumbs up or thumbs down? I go thumbs up. Rob?
Huge thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I like that. If you guys remember in the 80s, the NFL used to look at the historically black universities, for like considering all of those great quarterbacks that came out, great wide Jerry Rice. They used to look for them there. Now it's just all SEC and like Power 5. And good for Deion. Good for Deion, guys. Quick question. Urban Meyer's gone, right move? Or should they have waited the end of the season? Mark, sorry.
right move if that's what you're going to do next year.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, this should have. Honestly, I didn't think she should have gotten the job in the first place.
Yeah.
But there's been turmoil since he's got there, and that's not what you need from a losing franchise. You need somebody who's going to inspire.
Yeah. I'm one of those guys that say don't wait till the end of the season. If you know right away that's not the direction you want to go, and you want to start interviewing and get into like a pre-hiring process, and to add to that, if someone's toxic in your environment that where things are getting worse, if you got to go, you got to go. Brady got shut out for the first time since 2006. Are the Bucks in trouble? I say no. Mark?
No.
Robbie?
Depending on their injuries, I mean, if you don't have two of your top wide receivers,
That's right.
I don't think they're gonna go anywhere. And Tom just doesn't have that. I think they're in real trouble because Leonard Fournette is not gonna carry that team. Tom Brady, yeah, he's great, but he needs somebody to throw to. You can't have three wide receivers. You're gonna pick up two guys next week off the waivers, off of free agency, just to fill those slots. I mean, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, Godwin's out for the season. Might be around for the playoffs. Who knows? Which team is the biggest roller coaster ride in the NFL as far as they look like they're winning, then they're losing, they look like they're losing, and they're winning? Rob, you go first.
I'm gonna say the Bengals, man. I mean, 1 week they drop 41 on a team, the next week they drop 6. Like what's going on?
Did he take your team, Mark? Was that yours too?
He did, but I'll go second pick here. I'm gonna go the Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah, they beat Green Bay and then they lose to the
Detroit.
Lions. I think the Buffalo Bills are continuing to leave me head scratching, though I shouldn't. They're beating all the teams they're better than, and they're losing to the teams that they have a chance to beat. So I don't. That was my original roller coaster ride, but no, I got to go Titans. Titans are beating these good teams, and then you lose to the Jets. Talk about head scratchers. All right, quick question. This wasn't on when I sent this to you, so I just added this on. So, Rob and Mark, who is the first division winner when the playoffs come? Who's the first division winner to be gone?
Oh, to be gone.
Go ahead, Rob.
Honestly, I mean, I know we all love them, but I feel like the Packers are going to fail again. I think the Packers are going to fail. I think they're going to be at the top of their game and expect wins, and they're going to lose. I don't see the Packers making it out of the championship.
Mark?
You're saying the earliest exit by a division winner?
Yes.
I got to go Cowgirls.
Yep. Yeah. And me, I go Cowboys only because I think Green Bay is probably going to be the one team that has a bye. So I think by default, they're gonna survive that first week.
But I'm saying, they play one game, the game that they play their first game. I feel like the Packers are going to lose again, like they do every year. They lose that NFC Championship game. So
one of the most disappointing ones, Rob, was watching. Like I'm a New York supporter, so I'm a Giants supporter. Watching Aaron Rodgers go 15-1 that year, right? Go 15-1 that year and lose to the Giants. That had to hurt.
It felt great.
Rob, who's a G-Men fan, said that felt great. All right, guys, that concludes. Quick question. So we have something I call Before We Go. I do like kind of a little small shout out on a local level or on a national level. And I want to give it up to my man Damian Lillard. When you go to an NBA game, and this has been Dana White's one of his biggest complaints, and when they're leaving halftime and this and that, and this kid has his hand out, and it would mean everything in the world just for a player to high five that kid or just put a finger up, acknowledge, hey, how you doing? And then some of these guys, maybe they're concentrated, maybe they're shot, just how some elite athletes play out. But I would like to see them do more of recognizing the people who are spending all this money who pay their salary, okay? Because the sponsorship gets the fans there, but the fans have to be able to stand like you. So I want to show you guys a picture. This kid, look at this kid. All I want for Christmas is to meet Dame. He comes up to this kid. He gives him something. He pinches the kid's cheek, and the kid freezes. And if you saw, let me look at this. Take a look at this kid. This is before he actually froze, because Dame left, and that face, he was still looking forward. He didn't even watch Dame leave. And it meant everything to that kid's world, at least at that moment, that kid way into his teenagers, possibly into adulthood, is going to remember. I met Damian Lillard, and he acknowledged me. So big shout out to Dame. So any shout out, anything particular, or are you going to do a Rob McLean thing? Hold on, wait, let me go to Rob. Rob, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before you leave?
Well, I was just gonna piggyback on that and saying I think it's more imperative to understand that you will always be a significant other to somebody else. You know, so you got to uphold the things that you believe in and the character that you are, because you never know who's looking. Just like that, you know, they have onlookers, millions of onlookers all the time, so they have to be that way. But we all have the 10 to 15 people around us in our life that look up to us. So I think it's just to anybody that needs to uphold their character or needs to a way out of a bad place, you know, do it for somebody else, you know?
Yeah. Mark?
You stumped me with this one.
Listen, what Rob says, I'm going to tell you what Rob says before we leave. Rob, just say it.
Be happy, be healthy.
That's what Rob says before he leaves. So if you have to wrap up like that, then it's a normal week, because Rob does that every single episode. Mark, just say any goodbye. Just say love, peace, and hair grease. What do you want to say?
You don't get what you want for Christmas, go buy it yourself.
Yes. My man. All right. So listen, Mark might love you guys. Rob might love you, but me, I don't like you. In fact, I can't even stand you. All right. So for all of you at the lunch line, for all of you at Starbucks on your iPad or iPhone, for anyone on their Droid or their desktop who runs the world, old school. For my man, Mark Fornicari, for my man, Rob, keep it, McLean, I am Jason DeBeers. This is whatever episode of Sports Debate Tuesday. Stay with me, guys, after my music. But for everybody else, love you out of pieces. We out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.